My husband was a mad painter. On the day his first love announced her wedding, my husband, Elias, slit his wrists and committed suicide. Before dying, he used his blood to paint The Fall of the Moonlight, a piece that shocked the art industry and won numerous awards. The will of the genius artist was broadcast globally. He handed over 99 paintings to his first love, Norah, who had lost her memory, to commemorate their love. This turned me into a laughingstock across the entire internet. He had said that with The Fall of the Moonlight, his life had come to an end. Once again, I had helped him put the paintings into his first love school bag, and then quietly went back to my seat. However, he had red eyes and said to me despairingly, "Without you, I can never create good works again." On the day I found out I was pregnant, my husband committed suicide. I endured the pain in my heart and dealt with his afterlife affairs. I discovered that all his paintings had been taken away by the lawyer. At this time, a piece of news about the death of a genius painter was pushed to the front page of my phone. I casually clicked on it and was shocked to find that the protagonist of the news was none other than my deceased husband, Elias. 3 days ago, I excitedly went to a studio with the pregnancy test report. When I pushed open the door, what I saw was his body and blood all over the floor, and also The Fall of the Moonlight, which had been hyped up as a masterpiece handed down through the ages in just 3 days. Trembling, I clicked on my phone and tortured myself by looking at this news. As required by Elias, his will would be broadcast and disclosed publicly after his death. Each of Elias's paintings hid a sentence in a unique way. "Norah, do you remember me? Who is Norah?" My blood froze instantly, and big drops of tears fell on the ground. The grief that I had been suppressing for many days could no longer be held back. It turned out that each of his paintings was for another woman. After we had been intertwined for 8 years, he gave his heart and paintings to someone else. All that was left for me was a cold corpse. I confessed my love to Elias when I graduated from high school. I promoted him from an unknown little painter to a genius painter famous throughout the country and even the world. I once thought that I had pulled him out of the mud and allowed him to freely display his talent. We had spent 8 years together. I thought that there would always be a place for me in his heart, but it wasn't the case. On the day I found out I was pregnant, he slit his wrists and committed suicide, using his blood to paint a masterpiece for his beloved. He said that with The Fall of the Moonlight, his life had also come to an end. But Elias, if Norah is your moonlight, then what am I? I went to the live broadcast site. All kinds of media surrounded the position for the live broadcast, and Elias's lawyer was standing there with tears in his eyes. He said with emotion, "The Fall of the Moonlight is the ultimate romance that Elias gave to his lover. According to Elias's will, he will give the 99 paintings exhibited in the past, as well as the 100th masterpiece handed down through the ages, to Miss Norah." I saw Norah walking onto the stage accompanied by a man. Her eyes were red as if she had suffered great psychological pressure these days. What was she feeling aggrieved about? As soon as Norah stepped onto the stage, she couldn't help crying and choked as she told the story of their sincere love. "I'm sorry, I lost my memory back then and didn't know that he had done so much for me. The day Elias died was my wedding day. I didn't know that he would do this. I'm really sorry. I've received many invitations to our exhibitions over the years, but I've never gone to any of them. It turns out that they were all sent by him." I listened to her words in a daze. During the 8 years we were together, Elias had never shown any nostalgia for Norah. He just created works silently day after day, so much so that I didn't even know that all his surging love was given to another woman. I didn't come to my senses until the lawyer called my name. The sympathy in his eyes shocked me. Immediate cameramen noticed something unusual and quickly pointed their cameras at me. The next second he reached out and handed me a letter. I finally knew the reason why Elias committed suicide. In high school, Norah and Elias had a secret and passionate underground relationship. Elias had given his whole heart to Norah. He painted countless portraits of her. One of them accidentally fell into my hands, which made me mistakenly think that he liked me. Elias was going to disclose their relationship after graduation, but things didn't go as expected. In the year of graduation, Norah lost her memory in a car accident, and the last phone call she received before the accident was from me. In his heart, I was the root of all disasters. He married me, doted on me, and took care of me, turning me from an independent and strong woman into a housewife who could only rely on him. He made me suddenly accept the fact that he was leaving when I loved him the most. Not only that, when I was in the most pain, he told the whole world that he didn't love me at all. Clara, I know you love me, but you'll never get my love in your lifetime because you don't deserve it. Every day with you makes me extremely disgusted. Only thinking of Norah can keep me alive. I want you to live and then regret it for the rest of your life. It turned out that Elias was going to completely destroy me in this way. The ladder to success that I built for him, the efforts I poured over the years, and the 8 years of love that I thought was enough to move him meant nothing in his eyes. The sorrow in my heart welled up as if someone had cut a piece of flesh from my heart. Elias, you're really a scoundrel. Norah's husband seemed to say something, but I couldn't hear it anymore. Through this piece of letter paper, I saw Elias's forbearance and love over the years. It's funny to say that 8 years ago, I was attracted by good looks and admired the strong. After receiving Elias's painting, I thought he liked me and secretly fell in love with him. He was neither cold nor warm towards me, but he accepted my confession. Before getting married, I once cried and questioned him whether he didn't love me. Elias chuckled and said slowly, "Don't think too much. Isn't this what you want?" He kissed my lips fiercely as if he was angry and questioned me over and over again. "Isn't this what you want? Say something." After every art exhibition, he would press me onto the bed like a wild beast out of control. Once I thought it was because of his personality. Now I understand it was because Norah failed to keep her appointments time and time again and didn't remember their past, so he vented all his anger on me. I got up and wanted to leave. The media didn't want to let go of such big news and pointed their microphones at me one after another. "Clara, you're Elias's legal wife. Did you know that he already had a lover in his heart? Excuse me, how did you feel during the years when you occupied Elias? Do you appreciate this painting, The Fall of the Moonlight?" They pushed their cameras in front of me, eager to record every micro-expression of mine. Under the pushing and shoving of the reporters, my breathing gradually became rapid until one female reporter took advantage of the chaos, pinched me, and then sneered, "People who destroy others' true love aren't afraid of getting retribution in the next life." I suddenly raised my head, grabbed her microphone and said word by word, "If he didn't want to get married, could I force him to get the marriage certificate? Since you know that I'm his legal wife, you should ask Elias, this scoundrel, why he abandoned his wife and child and committed suicide for a married woman." After saying that, taking advantage of the reporter's stunned moment, I pushed the door open and walked out with big steps. Even when I got in the car, I still couldn't stop trembling all over. Finally feeling fulfilled, my hand pressed on the car key. I was going to the hospital to immediately abort this child. Elias wanted to destroy me in this way, but I was determined to live well. But things didn't go as I wished. The next second, a big truck rushed over like it was out of control. I blacked out and lost consciousness. When I opened my eyes again, I was sitting blankly in my seat in the classroom, holding a painting in my hand. The painting showed the back of a girl in a school uniform, which was exactly the painting that Elias gave to Norah in my previous life. I suddenly raised my head. In the corner of the classroom, the young Elias was wearing headphones with his school uniform buttons undone, impatiently twirling a pen in his hand, looking exactly like a school bully. In the past, I was so fascinated by his appearance. The fact that he ignored me made me feel even more eager to conquer him. Now my fingertips were cold, and I forced myself to suppress the hatred in my heart. As if sensing my gaze, Elias turned around. His hostile eyes coldly swept over me and he warned, "Clara, I'm not interested in a self-righteous top student like you. Don't look at me like that." After saying that, he closed the paintbrush fiercely, and his fingertips accidentally brushed against the tip of the brush. My heart immediately sank to the bottom. This action was his habitual movement after his beloved paintbrush was broken. He was the madman from 11 years later. Elias, he was reincarnated. I raised my eyebrows and sneered. "Elias, are you so narcissistic? I'm just looking at the blackboard but you think it's all about you. Are you some kind of gold that everyone wants to look at?" Elias parted the corners of his mouth and smiled meaningfully, then walked out through the back door. It made me feel inexplicably irritable. I looked at this hot potato on the table and silently walked out of the classroom, following him all the way to the adjacent class. It wasn't until I saw Norah that I finally remembered her. She was the school beauty in high school and the first love in the hearts of many boys. She always wore a modified school uniform and played and laughed freely with her friends, different from me, who was buried in books. Perhaps their atmosphere was too cheerful. Elias had tears in his eyes and softly called Norah's name. She looked back blankly and then smiled sweetly. So, I took advantage of their inattention and quietly handed the painting to Norah's classmate. Since you love her so much, lock yourselves together this time and don't come out to harm others anymore. After returning to the classroom, I sat in my seat holding the book in my hand. I felt a bit lost. Everything happened so fast that it seemed both real and like a dream. The scene of collecting Elias's body was still vivid in my mind. Now seeing him alive really made me feel a bit scared. In my previous life, in order to study in the same city as Elias, I gave up my dream school and my beloved aerospace major and chose the finance major that I wasn't good at instead. After graduation, I even made money to hold art exhibitions for Elias. How stupid I was. Since heaven gave me the chance to live again, I mustn't be infatuated with such a scoundrel like before. Rather than admiring the strong, it's better to strive to be strong myself. I gradually calmed down from the extreme nervousness and found that Elias had come back. He frowned as he stared at me. The next second he said with disgust, "Clara, stay away from Norah. Don't use your underhanded tricks on her. Don't try to deny it. I just saw you hiding in the dark and thinking about how to play dirty tricks. You're really something." His voice was neither too loud nor too quiet. The classmates who heard the noise all turned to look at us. I quietly listened to him finish speaking, then without a word, I picked up the water on the table, raised it, and poured it all over him from head to toe. "Elias, are you awake now? Do you want some more water?" Elias froze on the spot, then wiped the water off his face in disbelief. "Is this your new trick?" Just then, Norah came to our class with a flushed face. She was holding that painting in her hand. When she saw Elias's appearance, she exclaimed and then shook her head disapprovingly. "We are all classmates. If you have something to say, you can talk it over properly. How can you just splash water on others?" The monitor Julian couldn't bear it anymore. He stood up and looked at Norah coldly. "Don't act like a bystander here. We all saw that Elias was always picking on Clara today. What do you two want? Bully the female classmates in our class just because you have more people on your side?" As soon as he finished speaking, the hostile gazes of the female classmates in the class instantly fell on Norah and Elias. Seeing that the two sides were about to start arguing, Elias stopped this farce in time. "All right, it's my mistake." His suspicious eyes fell on me, and then he followed Norah out of the door. Julian looked over worriedly, and I smiled gratefully in return. The current development is already different from that in the previous life. I've tried my best to deviate from the track of the previous life and pull my life back onto the normal track. But there are always some unexpected things happening. For example, Elias doesn't want to let go of the potential crisis. When a sack was put over my head, I smelled the cold scent on Elias. My nervousness calmed down immediately. I remained quiet and didn't move. Then I heard Elias's irritable voice ring out. "Shouldn't she be scared to cry? Why is there no sound at all?" Several male voices echoed him. "Maybe she's so scared that she wet her pants. Little girls are shy. I guess she won't dare to do it again in the future. It's also possible that she fainted from fright. Don't let anything happen to her life." Right after he finished speaking, the sack on my head was pulled off. Elias was dazed for a moment when he saw me. There was a bit of inexplicable panic in his eyes. Then he grabbed my collar viciously, and his face darkened. "I never realized you were so scheming before. You must be very happy to see Norah being bullied. You better apologize to Norah after school and take a detour when you see her in the future. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude to you." I looked at him expressionlessly, and my hands unconsciously clenched into fists. Elias thought I was provoking him, and his face became even gloomier. "In my opinion, there's no such thing as not hitting girls. Clara, you damn it." I couldn't bear it anymore. Before he could finish his words, I punched him in the face and sneered. "What a coincidence. I have the habit of hitting men. I'm not interested in being polite. All I know is that for some narcissistic jerks, I'll beat them up every time I see them." Elias, do you think everyone is as despicable as you? The crazy things Elias did after his death made me even more certain that he was a complete lunatic. I didn't expect that in this new life he was even worse than before. He looked at me in disbelief, seeming very confused about how I dared to hit him. When the younger boys beside him saw that he was injured, they shouted and walked towards me. Just when they were about to do something, the head teacher suddenly appeared in the alley, and the panting monitor Julian was beside her. As soon as she saw me, her eyes turned red, and she quickly ran over to support me. Clara, are you okay? Did these bastards do anything to you? I patted her hand reassuringly. Just as I was about to say something, she angrily pointed at Elias and his little followers. It's them. I heard with my own ears that they said they were going to teach Clara a lesson. Do these people still have any respect for the law, school rules, and discipline? With Julian speaking up for me, I didn't even have a chance to open my mouth before I was taken to the school infirmary with people asking about my well-being. On the way we met Norah, who was on her way to school. She seemed a bit worried and looked over. Elias raised a faint smile on his swollen face. There was an invisible barrier between the two of them. My eyes darkened a little. At first, when I asked him to draw me, he refused to do it no matter what. He said that he had no inspiration to draw the person he saw every day, and it was also very boring. As he wished, I hope his first love won't find it boring. When we arrived at the infirmary, the school doctor examined me carefully. After confirming that I was okay, he breathed a sigh of relief. Elias, outside the door, raised his eyebrows when he saw me coming out and then sneered. How's it going? Clara beat me like this, and then she was so eloquent to say that we bullied her? How can there be such a reason? I think a classmate like her should be given a demerit and expelled. The fragmented halo shone on Elias. The young man who looked fresh in the previous life now looked so hideous. He was like a piece of sticky plaster that couldn't be shaken off no matter how hard you tried. Could it be that after being reborn, he still thought that Norah's memory loss back then was because of me? This thought took root in my heart, and a wave of anger surged up. I told the whole story of how they stopped me. Elias doesn't do well in his studies, but he's quite good at distorting the truth. Eventually, he was left speechless and departed with a dark face. However, I underestimated his despicableness. One day when I was on my way to school, I saw my classmates gathered around the bulletin board. Several classmates pointed and chattered. Who drew this? I saw this gossip as soon as I came in this morning. It shocked me. I don't know who this girl is. She's so pitiful. Even the mole on her back is drawn so clearly. All the blood in my body rushed to my head. I looked at the bulletin board in disbelief. A painting was pasted on it. The girl's black hair was floating in the air, and she was naked. The mole on her back and the birthmark on her waist were clearly visible. The one in the painting was me. The one who drew it could only be Elias. To protect Norah, he didn't even bother to hide the fact that he was reborn. Damn him. Julian seemed to understand something when he saw my expression and cursed in a low voice. He pushed aside the crowd and tore the painting down. I ran all the way to the classroom. Elias was leaning against the wall, looking at Norah and laughing softly. Norah was saying something to him. Taking a deep breath, I stepped forward. Smack! I slapped Elias across the face. Clara, are you crazy? Anger surged on his face, and then as if he remembered something, he smiled frivolously. Did you see the gift I gave you? Stop pretending. Don't you like this top student? Elias emphasized the last words and continued. Don't think I don't know you dream of being my girlfriend every night. Let me tell you, in this life, I won't love anyone except Norah. I'll draw 99 paintings for Norah in the future. And you don't deserve it. I was so angry that my heart was trembling. I don't deserve it? Indeed, I don't deserve it. I was devoted to a mad dog, fed him and helped him grow up. In the end, he turned around and bit me hard and told me he had put up with me for a long time. My face changed and I couldn't help but feel physically sick and vomited. How disgusting. You're right. How can a person match a dog? I don't need to lower myself. Elias, I advise you to be careful before you bite next time. After saying that, I picked up a bench beside me and smashed it hard at his head. Disgusting thing. You even want someone to be buried with you when you're in a relationship? Are you out of your mind? Blood flowed down from Elias's forehead. He covered his head, his face twisting. After hitting him, I picked up the stool and turned around to go to the head teacher's office. As soon as I opened the door, I couldn't help crying loudly and threw myself into her arms. The head teacher was furious. After listening to me tell the story intermittently, she took me to the principal's office and complained vigorously. By the time Elias came to the office, a demerit was already placed in front of him, and several pairs of stern eyes were staring at him. My eyes were still red as I said blankly, "I'm not familiar with him at all. I don't know why he's been targeting me all the time, or why he could even draw that kind of painting. Could it be that he went into the female dormitory or the baths?" Elias's face completely changed. No one would believe the thing about Rebirth, and of course he couldn't explain how he knew the positions of the small mole and the birthmark on my body. In the end, he made up a lie that he happened to hear me talking about it with others, but no one believed him because there was no evidence. The school gave him a serious demerit, and the head teacher also warned him not to approach me again. From then on, whenever Elias got close to me, the girls in the class would inadvertently separate him from me. After a period of time, it seemed that he was sure that I didn't like him anymore, and he gradually calmed down. We were like strangers who had never known each other. Although we were in the same classroom, we were like two parallel lines that no longer intersected. During the 3 years of high school, I immersed myself in books and made good friends like the monitor Julian. Since life came again, I should cherish it well. News about Elias and Norah reached my ears from time to time because they were so famous. Perhaps the underground love affair last time didn't bear sweet enough fruit. This time Elias was very insistent on announcing their love, even though he was often invited to the office by the grade director to have a chat over tea. It didn't stop him from rekindling his love. Have you heard? Elias skipped class today to pick flowers for Norah by the pond behind the school. When his art teacher found out, he angrily went to find his parents, saying that he hadn't attended class for a long time. What about the college entrance examination in the future? Julian took a sip of water and shook his head mockingly. I was amused by his tone and burst out laughing. He then leaned over and asked me quietly, "Clara, which school do you want to apply to?" I happened to finish checking the last answer and put down my pen. I want to apply to the aerospace engineering major of Tsinghua University. After these days of hard work, my strength was even better than before. Facing my dream school, I was quite confident, so I dared to say it out loud. Julian excitedly pulled at me. "Great! I also want to apply to a school in City B. Then we'll be very close to each other." He looked so excited, I couldn't help laughing and touched his hair. "Pfft, you guys are really daydreaming." A female voice rang out at an inappropriate time, and a beautiful figure appeared behind us. It was Norah. She smiled and put the things in her hand on Elias's desk and then turned around and left. Julian almost rolled his eyes to the sky. Why is she like this? I flicked him on the forehead. Everyone has their own aspirations. Not everyone needs to understand each other. Besides, Norah isn't a pure, innocent first love at all. During the last 100 days of the college entrance examination sprint, I worked hard to thoroughly understand every book. I remembered the exam questions from my previous life clearly, but I didn't think of relying on them to reap without sowing. When a butterfly flaps its wings, who can guarantee that everything will be the same as before? Take Elias, for example. He seemed to be confident, and even his once favorite paintbrush was covered with dust. These days he had been acting mysteriously, painstakingly searching for questions in books and then taking them to Norah. Unfortunately for him, he was also an art student in his previous life. He didn't have an advantage in these kinds of courses, so naturally, he didn't bother to memorize the questions. There was a rumor that he seemed to have found a set of questions that could guarantee a score of at least 500 points, and he wanted to go to the same university as Norah in this life. When I learned about this, I remained calm. I silently did a few more sets of questions. Superstition is not advisable after all. However, this rumor was self-defeating after the exam. When Elias came out, his face was ashen. Norah threw a pen hard at his face and was so angry that she blurted out whatever came to her mind. "I must be crazy to believe the words of a madman like you," she screamed. "You talk nicely, but what have you actually done?" The commotion they caused blocked the entrance of the examination room. I witnessed the whole process from the crowd. How interesting. Elias glared at her with bloodshot eyes and roared furiously. I love you. Why don't you understand? What's the big deal about the college entrance examination? I can support you by painting in the future. Norah sneered. Rely on your painting? How much can your paintings be worth, Elias? Don't be ridiculous. I saw Elias's expression changing bit by bit, until it finally turned into disappointment. A hand reached out from the side and stuffed a few melon seeds into my palm. I turned my head and saw it was the class monitor, Julian, munching on seeds with relish and gesturing for me to join him. This kind of scene is rare, Clara, he whispered. Let's enjoy the show since the exam is over. So we ate the seeds with a clear conscience until Norah mentioned breaking up. Elias suddenly raised his head, looking as if he had gone mad. He grabbed her shoulders and stared at her fixedly. Break up? Impossible. Don't even think about breaking up with me in this lifetime. His pupils dilated and the corners of his mouth curled up. He clearly didn't look normal. Even I was startled. Norah was also shocked. She muttered a few words and then took a taxi home. Elias only stared blankly at the rear of the taxi, no one knowing what was on his mind. After the college entrance examination came the time for celebration. We were busy enjoying our long-lost freedom, and didn't pay attention to Elias. It wasn't until Julian came to me and said that something had happened to Norah that I felt a pang in my heart. In my previous life, I was responsible for contacting the classmates in our grade to attend the teacher appreciation banquet. When Norah didn't come, I called her. After answering the phone, she said she'd come right away and then hung up. As for how she had the car accident later and lost her memory, I had no idea at all. In this life, I directly declined to do the organizing, but how did she still lose her memory? I went to see her with Julian and some other classmates. Norah was lying on the hospital bed, looking blank and innocent. Only when her attending doctor came to change the drip did she put on a shy expression. The scene was rather ambiguous, especially with Elias standing outside with a gloomy face. Are you my former classmates? Norah's voice was soft. She lay on the bed with a pale face, looking like a beauty with a sense of brokenness. I'm sorry, something happened to me and I lost my memory. I don't remember you. I had a strange expression on my face until Julian nudged me and whispered, She's already like this. Let's laugh when we go back. After saying that, he cleared his throat, took my hand, and presented a bouquet of white carnations to Norah. Norah's smile froze when she saw the flowers. After a pause, since the attending doctor was still there, she pretended not to care and praised them. These flowers are really beautiful. It would be better if I remembered who you are. Julian waved his hand casually and then pulled me from behind him. It doesn't matter if you don't remember us. This is your boyfriend. Do you remember him? Take a closer look. Norah leaned back as if she were a frightened deer. Helplessly, she covered her head and moaned in pain. My head hurts so much. Please stop talking. Who is he? I don't know him. As soon as these words came out, the attending doctor's face changed instantly. He immediately took Norah into his arms and warned us sternly, Get out quickly. The patient can't stand the stimulation. The next second, Elias punched him in the face. Don't touch her, he roared ferociously, hitting the doctor's face out of control. A group of people rushed in from outside to break up the fight. Julian stood there in a daze, so I took his hand and left without looking back. It wasn't for any other reason but that I recognized Norah's attending doctor. He was her husband in the previous life. Presumably, Elias also recognized his rival. Fate goes round and round, and the two of them still ended up together. I was feeling sentimental and went to buy an ice lolly on the way back, but I was dragged away by a mad dog. Elias grabbed my wrist like a madman and dragged me all the way to the corner of the community. The once genius painter, with his messy hair almost covering his eyes, stared at me fixedly. Clara, why are you always lingering around like a ghost? I thought I had escaped from you in this life. I didn't expect you to be so disgusting. Do you like me so much that you keep trying to harm her again and again? I had just eaten my beloved beef in the evening, and now it was all ruined. I couldn't help but vomit on Elias's clothes, ignoring his extremely dark face. Finally, having had enough, I quickly wiped my mouth. Elias, don't tell me you're really that blind. Do I look like I like you? Was it also my fault that Norah accidentally fell from the second floor? Did you see me push her? I never expected Elias to understand what I said. His way of thinking had always been different from that of normal people. But this time was different. Elias's face gradually turned pale. Seemed he wasn't completely stupid. "Sure enough, she's been lying to me all along," he said almost despairingly, his lowered head twitching slightly. At this moment, the sense of brokenness on him was exactly the same as Norah's. I looked at his expression and felt extremely satisfied. Don't be too discouraged. What if she remembers? I didn't hide the schadenfreude in my words and even let out a giggle. "Sorry, but you better go back early. Norah must need you very much now." Elias suddenly stood up, his tall figure swallowed by the night. I saw that he could hardly stand still. After stabilizing himself, he said softly, "Was it really my mistake?" After saying that, he smashed his fist against the wall like a madman. Blood flowed down his hand, but Elias continued to pound on the wall as if he couldn't feel it. I couldn't help frowning. Who wouldn't want to escape from such a violent maniac? At this moment, I probably understood why Norah was used to feigning amnesia. Perhaps in her previous life, she had also mentioned breaking up, and the horror he showed made her shrink back. She chose to break up by pretending to have amnesia. Her acting skills were clumsy, but in the previous life, Elias loved her so much that he believed her unconditionally and vented his anger on me. All the strange phenomena in this life showed that my guess was right. The moonlight in Elias's heart had fallen once again. He didn't want to believe it, so he came to question me, wanting to believe I was the one playing tricks so his first love could remain pure. After realizing this, I just wanted to say 2 words to him. Idiot. The tears of a scoundrel don't deserve sympathy, and I'm not interested in his sorrows at all. So I turned around and left, leaving Elias's echoes throughout the community. How nice. The sadness and pain of a scoundrel are especially helpful for sleep. I had an extremely happy summer vacation. Almost every day, I enjoyed the gossip brought by Julian. He boasted that he was like a scout in a field, running around just to bring me fresh news. After that day, Elias went to the hospital to see Norah several times. At first, she still maintained a look of being on the verge of crying. Whenever Elias showed up, she would have a headache. As time passed, the other patients complained. Later, Norah was too lazy to pretend. She held the doctor's hand and replied bluntly to Elias, "Yes, I was pretending." "So what?" "Elias, you poor guy, do you still expect me to be with you for a lifetime? You said your paintings could be sold at a high price, but what have you painted? How ridiculous. Please don't bother me anymore. We have no future together." Elias's tower of belief was shattered brutally. He went crazy painting, trying hard to create a good work to prove himself, but no matter what he painted, no one would buy it. When he took it out, people said that his paintings had no soul, only form, and could only gather dust. When Julian told me this, his eyes widened and he sighed. I mean, who does he think he is? With his idle look, how much can the things he painted be worth? I asked him curiously, "How do you know so much news, Mr. Badger?" Julian gave me a proud look and took my hand. "You don't know this. In order to enjoy this drama, I squatted at the hospital every day and brought water to Norah. I said I was her best friend. She was pretending to have amnesia and didn't dare to expose me at all. Later, she was so annoyed by seeing me that she simply gave in and told us both to get lost. After saying that, we looked at each other and laughed until tears came out. I have to say, Norah's really something. The college entrance examination scores came out soon, and I received a call from my dream university. Julian was even more excited than I was. He threw himself at me with red eyes. "That's great, Clara. We can be together again." We made an appointment to travel together to relax. For the first time since being reincarnated, I felt that life was so beautiful. When we came back, we were both a bit tan but very happy. I separated from Julian and went back to the community alone, but at the entrance I found an unexpected visitor, Elias. I politely walked around him but he blocked my way. Finally, having had enough, I said to him, "Excuse me, please let me pass. I want to go home." However, he had red eyes and said to me despairingly, "Without you, I can never create good works again." I couldn't help but laugh at his words. "Am I your paintbrush? Why do you always blame everything on me? Your girlfriend's amnesia is my fault? I'm guilty just because I'm near you? What's the matter? Am I a professional scapegoat? Elias, how shameless are you? He held my wrist with one hand and kept shaking his head. Clara, listen to me. I used to think that Norah was my true love, that only the love for her could inspire me to create. But I was wrong. That person is you. Well, belated affection is cheaper than grass, I said slowly. I pushed his hand away, stared fixedly into his eyes, and smiled. Elias, why are you so despicable? Didn't you say I don't deserve it? Didn't you want me to leave and suffer for a lifetime? Where's your dignity and perseverance? Did they die along with your moonlight? I still prefer to see you with that unruly look on your face. He suddenly looked up and stared at me in disbelief. I curled the corners of my mouth and walked past him, my suitcase rolling over his feet, until there was a thud from behind. Elias's desperate voice came over. I heard him shouting, Clara, I really love you. Please give me one more chance. But I didn't want to stop and left without looking back. On the day I set off for school, I saw Elias again. It was really unlucky. He had been hanging around our house recently, holding a notebook and drawing with his head down. Every day when I went out, Elias would ingratiatingly hand me a painting. Without even looking at it, I stepped on it. It's so ugly. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw him squatting on the ground, picking up the wrinkled paper and holding it in his arms as if it were a precious treasure. Then he handed it to me again. You said that I could draw you very beautifully. If it's something you like. His voice was trembling, and he looked at me pleadingly with tears hanging in his eyes. Clara, please forgive me. I'll only draw you from now on, okay? All my paintings will be of you. When I tried to commit suicide that day, I really regretted it. I really love you, but no one could save me. I was just so miserable. I didn't want to waste any more time. I couldn't help feeling restless and sneered. Elias, didn't you draw a painting for me? Don't you remember? You hung it on the school bulletin board yourself. Your love is really special. In my previous life, I took good care of Elias. If he wanted to paint, I was responsible for finding people to promote him and make him famous. This time, without me taking care of him like a nanny, he couldn't even create a single good piece of work. He really deserved it. Elias's body trembled, but I didn't want to save his face. Back then, I showed you the pregnancy test report, and there was blood as soon as the door opened. Was that the surprise you left for me? You cut your wrists on the day your ex-girlfriend got married. I have to say, you two are really in love. If you wanted to die, that would be okay, but you even did a live-streamed will which made me be criticized by the whole internet. You left that letter vowing to make me regret it for a lifetime. Elias, now I do regret it. But what about your moonlight now? Elias's face turned ashen, and he finally couldn't help choking up. Suddenly, he knelt on the ground, stretched out a hand to grab the hem of my pants, and begged humbly. I didn't know we had a child. If I had known, I wouldn't have committed suicide. Clara, forgive me this time. We can be the same as before. I had been with Elias for 8 years. He knew very well how to keep me hanging on, making me think he was just cold-hearted so I would sacrifice for him. Now it seemed it was all an act. He's really good at flattering. Kicked him away. Elias, you don't deserve it. I pulled my suitcase and left. I lost contact with Elias ever since because I went to the Department of Aerospace Engineering and devoted myself to my studies and new life. On the day Elias called me, I was doing an experiment in the laboratory and missed it. When I saw it later, there was only a text message. Clara, I fell in love with the wrong person. Let's be together in the next life. Immediately after that, a piece of news about a psychopathic killer popped up. It said that a man ran to his ex-girlfriend because of an emotional dispute, and then committed suicide before the police arrived. When the police searched the man's home, they found that he had drawn a painting with blood before going out, and it was named Regret. When Julian told me that the person was Elias, he kept clicking his tongue. I always thought he was a bit crazy. Sure enough, he did something like this. While responding to him, I commented below the news, instead of regret, I'd rather call it the monologue of a murderer. Warn everyone not to blindly praise the paintings of a murderer. What if others follow suit? It's worth mentioning that Elias's expectation also fell through. Norah didn't die but was just injured a little. The doctor really loved her and immediately decided to marry her. On the day of their wedding, Julian and I also attended. I showed my support for their love, but Julian waved his hand and said to me mysteriously, "Not necessarily. Look at the doctor's eyes. How come he looks at her like he's looking at a beloved little white mouse? I'm afraid he's another psychopath." I felt a chill run down my spine and quickly covered his mouth. "What are you talking nonsense for? We're here to drink at the wedding banquet, not to ruin the occasion." Julian pouted, dissatisfied. "I'm really good at judging people." I smoothed his hair and comforted him. "Then should we have crayfish or KFC for dinner tonight?" Without hesitation he said, "Crayfish." The end. Thanks for watching. Do not forget to subscribe for more stories.